All right. Welcome to the Rise Up podcast. I'm your host, Jonah Mitchell. And on this show, I do my best to help you lose weight, feel better, feel like yourself again, and make everything that goes into the weight loss process simpler to understand and really fit your life. Because the ultimate goal is not just to lose weight, it's to keep it off and feel that you're capable, that you can do that, and get off of this crazy, chaotic, miserable roller coaster that most people find themselves doing when they're trying to just do the best that they can for themselves. And ultimately, I have been down many paths on my own weight loss, health, and fitness journey that I want to do. I want to make sure that you don't have to learn the lessons that I had to. So, if this is your first time listening to the show, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you are one of my current clients, old clients, or just within the community that I'm in, I appreciate the hell out of you for being here right now. I love doing these. These are my absolute this. If you know me, I like talking, but I like talking to help provide context and understanding, right? That's the biggest thing that I want to help people help provide for you, because we make a lot of decisions without the full picture in mind, and that's really the point of my show. The point of what I try to do with my coaching is to give you the full picture. So, without further ado, if you find this valuable, if you find this helpful, if it shifts your perspective, I would really appreciate it if you took just a couple seconds of your time to share this with at least one person. If you share it on social media, tag me. I always appreciate it. I always love seeing people. I love seeing how I get to impact people, even if I don't speak to you directly. It means the absolute world to me. And then if there's any other resources that you're looking for, my other short form content, all of that's going to be listed in the show notes. The Transformation Project free Facebook group, that's also in the show notes. And yeah, let's get this ball rolling. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about how to eat more to lose weight. I love this. I love this so much. And everyone has this shit backwards. Because really, we need to be eating more to lose weight. Then, if you can't tell, I'm going to really try to bash this over your head today so that it really sticks. Because a lot of people get stuck in the usual cycle of eat less, move more, eat less, move more, eat less, move more. And I think that's one of the most frustrating, infuriating pieces of advice because it doesn't really, like I said earlier, it doesn't give you the full context. It doesn't give you the full picture of what that actually means. A lot of people don't feel like they're eating that much. And that's totally normal when your diet is full of very calorie dense, hyper palatable foods, meaning that you can easily overconsume them without actually feeling full or satisfied. And today I'm just going to go over all the ways that the way you have been eating has been possibly more than you thought it was, and how eating more of a type of food where it's going to make you feel like you're eating a lot more will actually calorically have you eating less, and then you will start seeing results in a much much different light. So I actually made a short video about this just the other day, and that's honestly what sparked this this podcast episode in general, because there's a lot to go over. There's a lot to go over with this. I want to make sure that I want you to understand all the sides of it. All right, so first and foremost, before we get to the calories and all that fun stuff that people get really caught up with, I want you to understand something fundamental. All right. Your body's always listening to you, always. And it's always talking to you, always. And a lot of the time we get very disconnected due to stress, due to a lot of stuff going on. We don't understand how to pay attention, interpret the language that our body is speaking, and we don't understand how to communicate to our body effectively. Um, even though, even with that, our body's still going to be doing what we tell it to do, whether we're aware of it or not. It's always going to be adapting, right? So if our body gets accustomed to a certain lifestyle, a certain nutrient profile, it's going to assume that that is the normal, and it's going to accommodate for that accordingly. So, for example, growing up, I did not have a very nutrient dense diet. It was lots of hyper palatable. It was a lot of candy. Let's just say that, a lot of candy, a lot of sweets. Not very many nutrient dense options in my diet. I didn't eat a strawberry until I started dating my wife. Well, my now wife, in college, and I was 20. 20, no, I was 21. I was 21 before I had one strawberry. Yeah, that's how I've only had strawberry. I only had strawberry candy, strawberry flavorings, never actually had a actual strawberry, not even chocolate covered strawberries. Like it, yeah, I know. I had a weird childhood. All right. I was a picky eater and I liked candy. But when as I grew up with that, my body just got used to it. And I grew up, if you've been listening for a while, I grew up as an athlete. So I had a lot of calories in my diet, but I had a lot of activity to match. But without the protein, without the proper nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, I was always chronically tired and injured, and I didn't really feel like I was supporting. I never felt like I was fully there at all times. This is what a lot of people can go through when they're not really paying attention. They feel run down a lot of the time. Another thing, I was always chronically dehydrated. And water, everyone knows they should be drinking more water, but water, we are 70% water. And again, when our body gets used to a certain stimulus, for me, that time was low quality food, poor hydration, right? Even if I had excessive calories, I still had hyperactivity because I was an athlete. My body was essentially running on overdrive, and it didn't have enough building blocks. It didn't have enough nutrients. It didn't have enough of the fundamental pieces to help me feel like myself. So even though I could show up and do those things and not gain much weight, which was another problem in and of itself because I played football and I was tall and skinny, then like I never was able to sleep well. I never was able to. I never felt energized. My hunger was always kind of off. It was either I was starving at all times or there was no hunger whatsoever. I was never aware of any of it, right? Never could really pinpoint. I just figured that, well, this is just how I am. I'm always a tired person. I'm always struggling to find the energy. I'm always just, I can never fully give my all because I just don't have it. But again, I was telling my body to do this. I wasn't aware of it. And a lot of us go our whole lives without being aware of what we're telling our body to do. And it's not because you get old and you get fat and your body just starts crapping out on you. When we're younger, even though I didn't have a lot of energy, I was still able to stay focused. I was still able to perform at a decently high level for college football, but I was young. My body was able to repair a lot of damage pretty quickly. But as we understand, as we get older, our body it lacks the ability, it lacks the leeway. That's what it really is, right? Overabundance of stress as we get older, our body gets weaker and weaker at being able to deal with it if it's not supported, right? If I continued my behaviors, which I did after college, which is why I struggled with losing weight for a long time. We always have a really difficult time understanding what we should actually be doing. And the problem usually goes to, oh, it's the weight that I gained. Oh, that's why I feel like shit all the time. I need to lose this now, right? And then we don't really look at what we're eating. We just think eat less, move more. And then maybe where our diet is like mine, full of very calorie dense foods that aren't necessarily going to like super beneficial for my overall health. But if I were to just look at it overall calorically and just cut that in half, right, I'm going to feel miserable because my body's used to these calorie dense, not very satisfying, not very filling foods. When I cut it in half, my body's going to have a hard time really adapting appropriately, right? Where it's going to feel like, well, this is hard to lose weight because I'm insatiably hungry all the time. And I just want to feel better. I want to feel satisfied. So it's hard every time I go on a diet that I cut everything I'm eating in half to feel like I'm actually making progress when I feel worse than what I currently feel, right? A long drawn out story was my own personal one, and there's many. I should probably do like a whole start from day one story of why I struggled so much with my health and why I do what I do now, because this is just one piece of it, right? One piece of a lack of awareness that I did not have. And now that I do have it, I'm able to interpret what my body says a little bit more. So I started with that because your body's going to get used to what you tell it to do. All right. No matter what. So if what you're doing has been what you've been doing for a long time, that's okay. Your body's going to say, well, this is normal and any change is going to be difficult. And the goal is to make the change bearable, right? We don't want the change to be miserable. So if we're trying to eat more to lose weight, we need to understand what we're currently doing, right? And if I understood what I was doing, looking at my calorie dense foods that were lacking a lot of quality nutrients, right? Just vitamins, minerals, fiber, protein, all those things, right? I could have started cutting and losing weight and feeling a whole lot better if I just focus on my quality first, right? So we're going to talk about this hack now, right? We're going to talk about this, how to eat more to lose weight. So again, your body does what you tell it to do. Now I need you to understand that your body works harder than you think it does, right? I love telling this to my clients that if you sat in this chair, I'm recording this podcast in a chair right now. If I sat in this chair all day long, right? Or if you were just sitting here listening to this podcast all day long, you didn't move, right? You didn't get up and do anything. How many calories do you think you'd burn, right? Most people, they think 50, 100. I don't know, not much, right? I'm not moving, so I'm not burning very many calories. But the truth is, we burn the most calories just living. Just living, we burn about 50 to 60% of our total calories in a day. So for the average female, that's anywhere from 1,100 to 1,500 calories. For your average male, that's anywhere from 16 to 2,100 calories. Just living, right? And when you don't understand, when you have a hard time understanding calories in general, like that sounds like a lot because it is a lot. It is a lot of calories that you just burn on any given day, right? Because your brain doesn't have to think it doesn't have to move to burn calories. Its capacity to think burns calories, right? Your heart pumping, right? Your brain controls your heart. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to actively tell your brain to pump blood, right? But that's burning calories. All your internal organs are burning calories. Breathing is burning calories. Digesting food is burning calories, right? All of those things, that's what makes up your calories that you burn just naturally before we account for your activity, right? So that's pretty crazy in and of itself, because you burn a lot more than you think. You don't have to be burning 200 to 800 calories per exercise that you do, because your body has got your back. It really does. That's like the base level, right? Once you understand that your body burns about 50 to 60% of your calories, you can stop stressing about how much you need to exercise. Then the next big chunk of calories burned, which is about 20 to 35% of total calories, is your NEAT. This is just daily movement, right? Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is for you nerds, but just daily movement, right? When you're standing up, when you're sitting down, when you're walking around. This is why steps are so popular, right? The more movement you get in the day, the higher caloric burn is, right? So 10,000 steps is usually a very is a goal for a lot of people, right? But this is why, because it takes up the second biggest chunk of your calories burned, right? First chunk is just living. Second chunk is the amount of movement you get in a day. And this is why I focus a lot with my clients on just getting them a little bit more active throughout the day, because it's a natural caloric burn that doesn't like have to be super stressful, right? If you get intentional on finding more activity throughout the day, you naturally will start burning more calories, right? Second, the third highest is then your exercise. Now this counts for your workouts, and this about 10 to 20%. 10 to 20%, probably 10 to 15% of your total calories burned, right? Accounts for your exercise. Even though your watches may say you burn 800 calories in that workout, it doesn't actually know, right? It's not as impactful as when it comes to, I mean, depending on the exercise you do, like cardio is going to burn the most calories per minute that you exercise, right? But it doesn't have to be the end all be all. You don't have to be working out every single day, because it takes up for such a small chunk of the overall burn, right? The last one is the thermic effective feeding. This is the calories burned processing and digesting food. So essentially, the more protein you have, the more calories you burn in your diet, right? For every 100 calories of protein you eat in a day, about 20 to 30 of those calories are burned. It takes up for about 5 to 10% of total calories burned in a day. All right. So you have a lot of calories burned naturally. You do not have to starve yourself to lose weight. This is why I'm telling you this, right? You can eat a lot more than you think and lose weight. And that's where I want you to go. I want you to understand that you can eat more than you think you can. And when you understand that, it becomes a game of how much can I eat and still lose weight, instead of how little should I eat to lose weight, right? This is the shift. This is the game changer. So, because now that we know, or now that you understand that you burn a little bit more, probably a lot more calories than you think you do, right? And when I gave ranges in the beginning, it all depends. If you want to get a general idea of how many calories you burn, using a calculator, multiply your body weight by like 14 and lower it by 1 or 2 if you're sedentary, and increase it by 1 or 2 if you're hyperactive. That will give you a very general idea of where your total caloric burn is. And that's just the maintenance calories. That becomes your maintenance calories, right? The amount of calories you need to eat in order to not neither gain nor lose weight, right? When you go above that number, that's when we start losing or gaining weight. When we eat below that number, that's when you start losing weight. Because there's only one way to lose weight, and that's to be in a calorie deficit. So when we're thinking about how to eat more to lose weight, we're thinking about calorie or nutrient dense foods that that we eat in high volume. That makes us feel more satisfied, more full, but it feels like we're eating 2 to 3 times the amount that we usually do. Right. And like I was telling, the reason I told that story earlier is I felt like I was eating a lot back then, or I felt like I wasn't eating all that much, especially when I was trying to shift my focus and lose weight. So when I tried to eat less, I felt miserable quickly because my food wasn't very nutrient dense. It sucked, right? But I wasn't aware of protein. I wasn't aware of total calories before. I was just like, eat less, move more. Okay, yeah, keep doing that, right? Work out 6-7 days a week, start intermittent fasting, and just eat 1 to 2 times a day. And I just felt miserable. I was constantly craving and wanting to binge on food. My fasting window turned into eat everything that you can the second that the window opened, and it was miserable, and I did not enjoy it whatsoever, right? And then there goes my wedding story, but I'll talk about that later. That's neither here nor there. I want you to mainly understand that the quality of your food matters. Your quality of your deficit matters a lot, right? The quality of the deficit super, super important, because if we have a low quality calorie deficit, the negative feelings of low energy, poor digestion, poor sleep, all those are hunger cues. All those are probably going to get worse. Dehydration, all those are going to get worse if we just cut calories from there without focusing on the quality first, right? And by focusing on shifting, or the way we start focusing on quality is my 2 favorite. And if you're a client of mine, we always start with color and protein. Those are the 2 that we focus on, right? One at a time or both at the same time doesn't really matter, right? But if we start incorporating protein and color more often, we're naturally going to feel more satisfied, more full, because one, protein is the most calorie thermic food, so our body works harder to digest it and break it down, right? So therefore, if you increase protein, you're going to feel more satisfied because your body's going to be working harder. Same thing with fiber and colorful foods, right? There's more. If we just have if I just have my old diet of Starburst jelly beans, Reese's peanut butter cups, all those fantastic candies, right? That's just a lot of sugar, right? There's nothing wrong with sugar, but if there's no protein, if there's no carbohydrate, or if there's no fiber that goes with it, that gets digested really quickly, and we don't feel very satisfied. We actually open the door to keep eating those foods, and then we just continue to overconsume on calories without ever getting a signal that we're actually satisfied, right? With increasing protein and fiber, right, by focusing on those things, you'll feel like you're eating a lot more food, right? And the example I just recently used on my social media, right? One of my Ghirardelli chocolate bars, like 4 squares of it, was about 240 calories, right? 4 ounces or about 100 grams of sirloin steak is also about 40 calories, or I'm sorry, 240 calories, right? But that's going to be a lot more food than just 4 pieces of chocolate. So after you finish that like 100-gram or 4-ounce sirloin, you're gonna be like, man, I'm pretty full right now. And because yeah, it's a lot more food, but calorically, it's the same as a chocolate bar, right? If you just kept eating the chocolate, if you just had the 4 pieces of chocolate bar, you'd be like, oh, I'm still hungry. I might as well finish the chocolate bar. That's going to be a total of 500 calories. When you had the sirloin steak, right? You 240 calories. You're probably way more satisfied. You had more protein. You had more dietary fat. It's harder for your body to break it down. So you're probably going to feel much more satisfied and stop eating, naturally lowering the total amount of calories that you do eat. Right? It's very simple shift when you know how your body is trying to, when you know what your body's trying to tell you, and you know how to support your body, and you know how to tell your body what you want to tell it. Right? It's nobody's fault that we don't really know much about our food. It's nobody's fault that we don't know much about calories, and we live in a world with hyperabundance of food, right? But our body has not. Our body hasn't adjusted or hasn't accommodated for it, right? It still operates as like, well, calories in, right? What's the signal? What's the stress like? How do I adapt to this? If we have just a bunch of hypercalorie foods, we continue to eat over our maintenance, right? We got to keep storing this because eventually it's going to run out, but we're going to make sure that all these extra calories are going to be stored for safekeeping, right? And we don't need to starve ourselves, right? Our body doesn't need to go into a starvation mode to lose weight, especially when we understand how many calories that we actually burn in a day, right? We understand the quality of our calories matters, right? We can eat a lot more food when it's nutrient dense and it's protein rich, right? So much food because our body is burning more calories than we think, that when you prioritize these foods most of the time, and here's the general like thing I work for I work my clients to, about 3 to 4 servings of protein a day, right? The leaner the protein is usually like the whiter the meat. So like chicken, turkey, and white fish are usually going to be your leaner, your leanest. Then lighter meats are somewhere in the middle, like salmon, 96.4 lean ground beef. Some red meats can be more leaner when you have the lean options, right? But pork is usually more fat than protein, so it's kind of more of a it's more of a fat than a protein, I should say. But a lot of people love pork, but again, just giving you the context, right? Um, so we do 3 to 4 servings of that, 2 to 4 servings of complex carbohydrates. And that just means any carbohydrate that comes from the ground: rice, quinoa, couscous, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, lentils, anything like that. 2 to 4 servings of veggies. So this would be leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables, and then 1 to 2 servings of fruit. Right. That's what we work to do most of the time, not all the time, most of the time. And when you do that most of the time, your body adapts to what you do most of the time. That's it. So if most of the time your body is full of these calorie dense foods that aren't very satisfying, that we don't actually get a lot of nutritional value from, it's just extra calories, right? Your body's going to get used to that and it's going to ask for more food because it's not very nutrient dense, right? But if you change that focus, what you're doing most of the time, to nutrient dense options, your hunger cues are going to start to normalize and your satisfying cues are going to start to normalize. Cravings are going to get much more manageable, and you're going to find a wiggle room to have certain foods that you want in your diet that are like candy for me, right? Or if it's soda or if it's alcohol or whatever it is, whatever you want, right, to have your diet, you can have it. But we need to understand the ratio and what we're doing to our body, what we're telling our body most of the time. And if we can shift the focus away from just cutting everything we're doing in half, which, don't get me wrong, that could definitely be helpful and beneficial for some people, right? But you don't have to, right? If we just shift the quality of our food, right, you're going to feel like you're eating way more food. You're going to feel like you're not dieting. It completely takes all the pressure away from dieting because you're eating more food than you think. And a lot of people, they go through this process, they can't eat as much food because their body's not used to breaking down that much quality food over after an extended period of time of eating convenient snacks. You know what I mean? And when you start shifting that and consistently doing that, you feel full pretty quickly. But even then, you're not overstuffing yourself because these foods are not calorie dense, they're nutrient dense. So then your body starts to understand, okay, we're starting to get more nutrients now. When we start to get more protein, more vitamins, more minerals, for more fiber, more hydration in your diet, energy, like if you survive on energy drinks and coffees and teas all the time because you just run so low on energy, maybe it's just because you're nutrient deficient, maybe because you're dehydrated, right? If I would have did this in college, I probably would have felt like a completely different person. I played with someone who's in the NFL right now. I didn't ever see him eat. Actually, I did. We ate together a couple times, but that man, he ate. He ate well, right? Because he had a goal, he had a purpose, and it was awesome well, at the time, I wasn't paying attention, right? But now I look back, he had a goal and he's accomplished that goal. It's been super awesome to see. It's been super. It's a completely different shift, right? When you understand how to provide for your body, when you understand what your body has been lacking, when you understand what you've been telling your body, and when you understand how much you can actually eat and still lose weight. We just need to give ourselves a new understanding. We need to pay attention and become aware of what we've been doing to what we've been telling our body to do. And if we've reacted negatively to diets in the past, did we truly understand the diet, or was it the eat less, move more philosophy that didn't really take into account to what you needed? It just said, okay, cool, you want to lose weight, we're just going to stop eating as much, which, as we've learned today, you burn way more calories than you think you do. So when you just do that to people, yeah, they're going to lose weight. But if they don't understand why, if they don't understand how, right, or if they don't understand how this is working and what actually is aligning with them, and when shit hits the fan, or when they can no longer afford the meal kits or the things that I don't want to directly throw any nutrition companies under the bus, but we all know those ones that just kind of restrict our food and don't make us feel good about it. It just says stick with the plan and you'll lose weight. It's like, cool, but my weight loss isn't the problem. I don't understand myself or my food, but that's neither here nor there, and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. Oh, Coach Aaron, you're right. This might be just down the rabbit hole with Jonah Mitchell. No longer rise up with Jonah Mitchell. I digress as usual. The point is, I'm trying to make here that you can make if you can make a simple shift and start to pay attention and realize how much you can eat and still lose weight, I promise you, it's going to take all the misery, all the struggle that you've experienced with losing weight, getting healthier, getting fit, get in shape, make it much, much simpler, right? I just touched one bit about this whole process on the food side, right? I did go a little bit in the activity stuff, and hydration, but still, food is probably the biggest piece that a lot of people struggle with. But that's why I want to make this podcast. And if you're listening to this and you want to understand how to do this for yourself, we're the spring transformation challenge is about a month away. Registration's open. If you want to understand your food, if you want to start practicing this for yourself, seeing where you can start making adjustments, come join us. Come join me and all the team of coaches at Transformation Project. We'd love to help you. We'd love to help connect these dots for you so that you can start feeling better than you ever have before, eat way more than you ever have before, and see better results because of it. So, yeah, I hope that made sense. Podcasting, man, it's so much fun. I try to give too much, and it can sometimes be overwhelming. But yeah, like I said, I hope the big points are taken away here. That if you understand your food a little bit differently, you understand what you've been telling your body, you understand how your body works a little bit more, it makes this process so much easier. And then we move the pressure away from dieting and feeling miserable to how can we feel better? And when we start feeling better, the physical starts will come. So yeah, it was a bit of a short episode today, but I wanted to get it done. So I've been thinking about it for over a week and a half, and I have just found the time to do it. So if you found this helpful, like I said, please share this with one person. If you would like to do the challenge with me and the Transformation Project, and everyone that's part of that team, we would love to have you over there. Link to that should be in the show notes as well. And if you need anything in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know if there's anything else I could do for you. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.